And now, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is somebody who knows a lot about shopping because I have shopped a lot of time at his site. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the Chief Commercial Officer of Lazada Malaysia. Give it up for Christian Nill. Come on.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, well, this is impressive, I have to say. Good morning, everyone. Lazada, for most of you, should be a brand name by now. And what I want to talk about today is what I believe is the backbone of e-commerce. So what needs to be done in order to participate. But before I start, I think it's polite if I introduce myself real quick. My name is Chris. I am German by origin. I've come to Malaysia a bit more than a year ago. My background is actually, I'm certainly not a stand-up comedian. My background is in computer science, quite dry, but quite fitting for that industry. I'm not born here. I, however, am sending my kids to school here. So I do believe that e-commerce in Lazada has a long-term trajectory, something that we work hard to actually enable the entire country for. Who is Lazada? Lazada, most of you are actually, I'm pretty sure know by now, we're not only present in Malaysia, we are market leader all across Southeast Asia. Our biggest market is actually Indonesia, followed by Thailand, Malaysia. We are also market leaders in Vietnam and the Philippines, and we have a strong presence in Singapore as well. We are backed by very noteworthy investors that believe our growth projections, that believe in the growth of e-commerce in the region. So Temasek is certainly a brand name here. And the fact that also Tesco is involved massively with a substantial investment in our site shows how the traditional retailers see the need to move on, to diversify, to embrace online. So I don't want to spend more time on Lazada now. Let's go to this chart that the government agency MDEC, the Multimedia Development Corporation, has recently shared on a seller conference, so with our top sellers. MDEC believes firmly in e-commerce in Malaysia. They essentially say they are convinced that e-commerce revenues are going to double within the next very few years, and very importantly, that the revenue realized in the country, so the money that stays in the country, is surpassing the money that, you can hardly see the gray bars, but it'll be surpassing the money that goes out of the country via Amazon, where you import stuff, as soon as 2018. And we at Lazada certainly want to help with it. Now, where these growth projections are backed up by very solid statistics. So I know we've started off this day with a lot of gloom and gloom about the state of the economy in Malaysia, but in a longer term perspective, it is a country of 30 million people. It has shown tremendous growth in the past, and we are convinced will do so very soon again in the future with a 5% average GDP growth rate. And you are a country of very, very internet-savvy people. That doesn't necessarily mean spending all day on the desktop or the laptop, but the smartphone penetration in Malaysia is amongst the highest, not only in the region, actually it's faring very, very high on a worldwide comparison also. And on Lazada, for instance, about half of our visitors are using the smartphone. Half of our purchases are done using a smartphone. So young population, tech savvy, this is built for e-commerce. Household incomes are increasing rapidly, means spending power increases, means if you browse online, if you see something that you like, you're a lot more inclined to just click buy. Last but not least, the most important of all reasons why we believe e-commerce in Malaysia is up for a tremendous growth ahead is just the fact how relatively small it still is. So yesterday, the Deputy Minister of Multimedia and Communication gave a short talk. He kickstart the Malaysian cyber sale, which is going to happen at the end of this month with a lot of e-retailers participating, us included. So he said that Malaysia is probably about 3 years behind China when it comes to e-commerce adoption. I think he was a bit too bold making that statement. I actually believe it's more like 5 to 6 years, but that's good news for everyone who is joining now, because there's absolutely no reason to believe why, given the stats I just shared, the Malaysian e-commerce penetration should be any less than that of the US or China. Right? You've got everything in place, and all it takes is people getting used to it, people doing their first purchase, and people making this a part of their everyday life. So within years, and the only thing I'm prepared to discuss is what number of years, but within few years, it's clear that the e-retail share also in Malaysia is going to increase from something like 1.5% where it is now in the non-food segment to double-digit figures. The only question is how fast. Now, you probably all know this already. This is why you're sitting here, because you want to learn about, now what does it mean for me? How do I actually get started? And that, sounds easy enough to begin with. You need, obviously, a website. You need a store, a shopping cart function. You need, a bit of technology behind. But you can readily buy this now. It's relatively easy to find a solution that you can, set up your shop with. It doesn't, of course, end there. So once you have that, you have to think about your content. You have to think about the consumer that is going to buy your product. You have to think about how you present your product online, which is very different than having a storefront and having people running around that can greet the customer and explain functionality to them. So in this new world, in the consumer-facing e-commerce world, you may only have one picture to capture a potential customer's interest. You may only have one search term. You have to know which one to use. You will have to explain your product very concisely. Maybe it's using a video, maybe it's using text, maybe it's using a series of pictures. It very much depends on what you're selling. Content is king. Without, a lot of, and a zero, yes, content is absolutely king. It's not interactive. It's a one-way road. You have to make sure that you get everything across the customer needs to know in order to make him buy. So you've got your e-store, you've got your content. What about mobile? I'm quoting the VP Commerce platform of Flipkart. I mean, a very successful company in India, a B2C marketplace. That basically said in the next year or so, we are going to go mobile only. They'll actually abandon their desktop site altogether. And as I said earlier, even here in Malaysia, we already add easily 50% of our transactions to go via our mobile platform, our apps, our mobile internet site. So if the store that you prepare, if everything that you've purchased to set yourself up doesn't include a very strong mobile element, it's almost too late to start. So mobile has to be in the game. And you have to make decisions. Do you want to use an Android app? Do you want to bet on iOS? Yada, yada. It's not that easy. Going forward, if you have everything in place, traffic. Everything may be perfect. Your desktop, your e-store is there. It's got a mobile option. The content is crisp and clean. But now you need to make sure that people actually visit your store. They need to find it amongst the million pages. So there are plenty of options to advertise online and offline. You can also do offline advertising, of course. So you can ask Reuben for help to rock the YouTube channel here. We'll have Matt later on stage from Google. He will be able to explain you how you use the Google products to drive traffic. But to be frank, it's only two of the options out there. You can go to Astra, you can write try TV, you can try Facebook ads, and all of these channels are also making it easier for you and your businesses to utilize their platforms and to optimize your marketing spend on them. But the fact remains, it actually requires quite a lot of effort, and it's a numbers game. So you have to basically calculate what you're prepared to spend for a click, for a visitor, for a transaction in the end. So it's a numbers game, and you will have to either get good at it yourself, or you will have to hire staff that are helping you there. Once traffic is in, and we just had Jeffrey talk about the new and upcoming payment methods. Well, you have to collect the money, right? It's all about the money. And the payment method landscape in Malaysia right now is super diverse. Credit card, debit card, bank transfers. What else do we've got? Yeah, cash prepaid, credit card on delivery. And to be fair, cash on delivery, even though Jeffrey wouldn't like to hear it, is still a much, much, much preferred payment option also for our customers, in particular for first-time customers. So ideally, you do not only offer a credit card or other online transaction mechanism. So even now that we're in the beginning stages of e-commerce in Malaysia, you best also are able to offer cash on delivery options. Okay, so now you figured all of this out. Customer is actually able to conclude a transaction, bought your product, doesn't end there either. So how do you ship? Again, lots of different agents in the market are offering their services, GDEX, Skynet, DHL, UPS, TNT, Pislajo. You can work with one or more of them. They, let's be fair, they also are playing a bit of catch-up. So the logistics providers' networks are getting clogged up a bit these days in Malaysia because e-commerce is growing so rapidly that the number of parcels shipped in Malaysia is outgrowing the logistics providers' capacity these days. So it's, especially for the bigger ones of you, that will become a real consideration. Do you find a partner that actually has the bandwidth to support your growing businesses? It may sound easy at first if you do like 5 or 10 parcels a day. I'll drop them somewhere, it'll be easy. If you are actually looking at higher volumes, you will find that a lot of these channel partners are going to be struggling to weather your volume. So, but you've done this as well. You've shipped out successfully. You think it's off your hands. Not quite yet. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. So it is massively important that you don't think of a transaction being over once you've shipped your item. It has to be received by the customer, it has to be understood by the customer may have questions, the customer is going to call back, the customer may require support if it breaks down, if there's a warranty case. So what you want are repeat customers, and repeat customers you gain by building trust not only in your products but also in your services. Customers that bought with you, that are satisfied with your services, are going to rate you on these various platforms, are going to leave comments for other users to see that they were satisfied, even if you ship them a broke item. If you were helping that one customer that received a broken item, if you helped him recover, and that customer writes a positive review about their experience with you, you may actually have one more than sending the right item out in the first place, because that's what counts. That's how you build the trust. All right. So what happened with e-commerce is easy. These are a lot of steps that, if you are serious about it, if you are serious about venturing into e-commerce, into B2C e-commerce in particular, by yourself, you will have to consider all of this. Otherwise, well, the chain is only as good as its weakest link. You will have to consider all its elements. Now, this is where we believe very strongly that online marketplaces such as ours are the real connecting fabric for the online market. Because we can offer, and other platforms as well, Flipkart, Amazon, Lazada, eBay, to a greater or lesser extent, can offer all of these individual building blocks for you. So we have a cross-platform content management, so we give you the desktop app, we give you the iPhone and the Android app. We do have payment solutions in place. We help you with the stock and logistics management. We coordinate the third-party logistics providers. We even provide warehouse services if it's required. And we have our own customer service departments, which is going to take calls from your customers on your behalf. So, of course, it comes at a cost. Yes, there is a commission to be paid. But if you do a cost-benefit analysis, if you think about how setting all of this up yourselves, how much that would cost you, and how long it would take you to actually get good at it, then I believe the commissions that ours and other marketplaces are charging are an investment very well spent. So, in a nutshell, we firmly believe that online marketplaces are the backbone of e-commerce, because most sellers online do not want to invest hundreds and thousands of ringgit into their own platform. We believe everyone should do what they do best, and whether it's for a manufacturer, it's manufacturing. If you are a merchant, then you organize your trade routes and select the best possible products. You scout the market. You gather the intelligence of what sells and what doesn't, and then leave a lot of the other stuff to the other experts, like us. So that's the pitch I'm making, and how this looks like. So now I'm all out pitching mode here. I hope I'm permitted. On the back end, you essentially organize everything via a online platform. You manage your stock, you manage your content, you take orders, you process your orders. You can do it on a desktop. We even have an Android app for a seller. You can actually manage your e-store on Lazada via a smartphone. You don't even have to sit in front of your computer. And on the customer side, it looks exactly the same. They get a very shiny front end, a very concise storefront, which is constantly developed further. As I said, we've got apps for Android, iOS. They are constantly being developed further. Payment systems are included, order tracking is included. So from a customer perspective, it's really a one-stop shopping destination. And if you use it, and you'll be benefiting from the experience the customer has, you don't have to really worry about much of that. The guidance we give, you follow it, and you're basically good to go. In terms of numbers, it's nothing short of impressive. We got way above 500,000 visitors a day now on the platform. App downloads, and we have only started relatively recently, have already surpassed the 2 million. And our order growth is really nothing to be ashamed of. So if you would like to be a part of this, if you would like to try your business on Lazada, we are there to help. You can start your journey right now. If you've got a QR code scanner, you can scan this code that takes you to a sign-up form. If the time now isn't sufficient, or for whatever reason it doesn't work, there's a booth outside. I've got my colleagues. They are happy to help you with questions, not only pertaining Lazada, but also pertaining to the experience of selling online overall. So we understand it is sometimes a bit intimidating to take the first step here. But I mean, trust me, we've got plenty of sellers on the platform already from all walks of life. So we've got those and that makes it so interesting. We've got those that actually started a business only to sell on Lazada because they thought this is a good way to get into trade. We of course have large retail chains, brick and mortar stores that learned it step by step, little by little, and that we were able to help on the way. And we'd be more than happy to expand this offer to you. So I'll also be around a bit. Please do walk up to the booth, use the information material on the site. Thank you very, very much for your presence today and for your attention. And I think we now have a bit more time, I understand, to take questions in a little group. Thank you very much.